boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Prime Video's The Boys, Season 4? Yeah, we're in Season 4, Episode 4, entitled Wisdom for the Ages. And boy, was it for the ages. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to this review. This is one of my favorite shows on television, The Boys. Great mixture of comic books, superhero, drama, soap opera, social issues, all that, everything, political stuff, all that wrapped up in one enjoyable show. Violent, violent, very bloody, all the good stuff. I mean, it really checks every single box that you could ever try to categorize when it comes to television, film, whatever the case may be, and does a good job at it. This show, after 4 seasons, I think I stated in my episode 1, 2, and 3 reviews last week that I thought that maybe this show was kind of dying down, that it was, getting ready to jump the shark. Haven't jumped the shark yet, but getting to the point where, okay, enough's enough. What more can they tell? And the first 3 episodes were really good. They were really decent, setting up what's going on this upcoming season that we're in right now. And we get to episode 4. And this episode really felt like a kind of a season finale type feel. You know what I'm saying? It's so much that happened and a lot of cliffhangers. I guess you could say like a mid-season finale more than a actual season finale, but it really felt like, man, this is they are really going through it. Our heroes, we got a lot of issues that they're dealing with, and you don't know, honestly, you don't know how they're going to get out of this, how they're going to come out on top on all of these issues, all of these storylines that have been set up, all of these hurdles that have set are set in front of our heroes. And man, everybody has a plight. Nobody in our protagonist group, the boys, are living life right now. Everybody is going through it. They are in the struggle, man. It is awesome to see how this has come about. In this episode is kind of split with 2 storylines. We got the Starlight storyline, her ongoing issues with Firecracker, and we have the storyline with Homelander and his quote unquote family reunion of sorts that he goes and kind of exorcise some demons that have been plaguing him his entire life. And those were the 2 main ones, but we still have the storyline with Frenchie confronting his past with his new love interest, Colin. And you have Kimiko, who also has to deal with her past in this episode. And you have Huey with his father being in this coma. He's taking a turn for the worse. Now he wants out of all people, he needs A-Train to get the V compound to try to save his dad. And just so much. It's like, man, what more can these people go through? But let's break it down by storyline in this episode. And let's start with the Firecracker and Starlight debacle. Now, Starlight has aligned herself with the president-elect, trying to get this bill passed that can really stick it to vote. And you have Firecracker, who was established in the previous episode that they have history, they being Firecracker and Starlight, from when they were kids, and Starlight spread that rumor on Firecracker, and it followed her whole life, pretty much ruining her life to a degree. That's why she has so much hatred and vitriol towards Starlight. So we get to this point in this episode where Firecracker is holding this quote unquote rally across the street from the Starlight Foundation, and there's nobody there, but it's like a it's all for show. And she has some nuggets to reveal. She has some bombs to drop, some pipe bombs, so to speak, on the mic, regarding Starlight and how Starlight had an abortion a few months back and hid it from everybody, and that brought up the whole abortion issue that is a real life issue for a lot of people, and it really touched in on that, and it touched in on Starlight having to relive this because, as she stated to Huey, because it was Huey who got her pregnant, and nobody knew about, but it all came out. Vault have their ways, but I think it was more or less Sage who found that information out and gave it to Firecracker. But uh, she has to relive that decision that she made, that she struggled with, and it's tearing her apart from the inside out. It really drove her nuts to the point where she flipped out, went across the street, and just beat Firecracker halfway to death. I mean, she tore into Firecracker. There was no firecrackers, no fireworks going off there, at least on her end. It was for Starlight, but not on Firecrackers. And yeah, she beat her within an inch of her life. I mean, it was a brutal beating, which was caught on film, of course. And that put the kibosh on this bill because the president-elect had aligned himself with Starlight. Now that this has come out, and the viewing public sees Starlight as a baby killer, as a assailant, who assaulted Firecracker on television and all this here. She just looks like a crazy person. So, especially to a certain demographic that does not agree with what she has done in regards to abortion. So you have that going on. You have Chemical and this woman from her past who kind of gets the drop on her and her men, and Chemical and Huey were meeting with A Train about the V compound and all this other stuff. Well, they get the drop on those two. They have a nice little battle there, and one thing leads to another. Chemical and this young woman confront each other. And this after Chemical was blown in half, but we know that she heals. She's basically immortal. She just can't talk, but she heals, and they have a couple of punches thrown, and Chemical tries to help her up because she recognizes her, and the woman tells her, like, you don't remember me. You don't remember what you did, and it was revealed that Chemical is the one who put the scars on her, gave her those permanent scars on her face because they had to fight and all this other stuff. It was kind of gut wrenching. And speaking of Huey, you have Huey who is trying to come to grips with the impending death of his father and his mother coming back into the picture, which I have a theory about that. I don't think his mother is there. I think his mother is a figment of his imagination, just like with Butcher is having these visions of his wife who is dead, and he's having these visions and actually holding conversations with her. I think the same thing is happening to Huey, because let's not forget, Huey took the V compound as well last season. So these could be side effects to them taking that vial or that V compound, and that is what's causing these hallucinations. And it only makes sense. And I'm revealing this like it hasn't, like nobody else has figured it out. I'm pretty sure everybody else has, but I was meaning to mention that on the last episode, but yeah, I forgot about it. I was so hyped up and excited, I forgot to mention it. But this episode really brought it home for me. They pretty much just laid it all out there without laying it all out there before they do the big reveal. If I'm right, but I really feel that she is not there, because think about it. You never see anybody else talk to her. She's always there in the hospital room The nurses, even when she's in the room, the nurses always talk to Huey, even though the mother is the what they call it, the person over the estate or whatever. She's the one that's making the decisions in regards to Huey's father's condition. But they're always talking to him, which leads to the reveal in regards to Huey's father getting the V compound that Huey did get from A Train, and they patched things up. They kind of shook hands and forgave. Huey forgave A Train or whatever for killing his girlfriend, and that was that. But he had the V compound, but he decided against it after having a talk with Butcher, who told him, "Look, just don't do it. Don't do this. Think about what you're doing. It's not going to come out well." So he had cooler heads prevailed, and he decided not to do it. But once Huey stepped out and then stepped back into the room, we see that the V compound had been inserted into his father's IV, and his father woke up, and that's how the episode went off. But yeah, that was like, okay, he didn't do it, but the mother did it. But at the same time, you don't see her do it. She kind of has this look on her face, but I, I still don't think she's there. I think he's doing this without knowing he's doing this. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be interesting next episode and episodes to follow when all of the chips start to fall. Let's get to our main storyline, the main piece of this episode that had me like, oh my God. And that is, of course, Homelander returning to the place where he grew up, so to speak, where he was tested on and whatnot. And he goes back there, and all of the people that was there when he was a kid, and they're still there, and a little older, but basically they tortured him and confined him into this room for the majority parts of the day and all this stuff. So he has a lot of trauma that he was dealing with. They basically, without knowing it, created Homelander. They created this evil person by what they did to him as a kid, because he hasn't let that go. And today he let it go. He let it go on all of them. The worker that will lock him into this oven to see if his flesh will burn, that he impervious to fire and whatnot, which he is. But like, he explained to the guy, like, look, I didn't burn up, but it still hurt. I felt like I was burning up. I felt like I was on fire. I just wasn't. And when you really put that in perspective and think about it, like, my God, that must have been hell. It's like hell, literally like hell. You're on fire and not burning up. And that is brutal. And so what did he do? He put the guy in that oven as well. Even when he walked in there, because they all knew they were wrong. They all knew that this day was coming. And it came to this point where they were just accepting to a degree of what this dude is doing to them and why he's doing it to them. And so he does walk into the oven. And it isn't like Homelander didn't go there and do anything forcefully. He didn't drag nobody nowhere. He didn't throw nobody anywhere. Well, at least in the beginning of it all. But we'll get to that point in a couple of minutes. But he walks in there, and as he's walking in there, he's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. And Homelander, Anthony Starr, my God, man, this dude is amazing. Anthony Starr is amazing in this role. No lie, man. I think there's no way they could have cast anybody else better than him. I don't care if they've got Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis couldn't play this role better than Anthony Starr is. And Homelander says to him, like, you're sorry now? Now you're sorry. And he's but it's the way he said, the way he delivered it, it's like, he was calm, cool, and collected. He never raised his voice. The typical Homelander. He was like, really? And he turned on the machine and burnt him alive. Burnt the man alive. I mean, boiled him from the inside out. And in typical grandioso the boys fashion, they did show every part of that. But it was glorious. So he moves on to this other guy, Marty, who was basically watching over him the whole time, and he's talking to him, and he was like, "Man, yeah, I want you to forgive me for what I did to old Frank. I was a little out of wits there. And so on and so forth." And the guy, he's like, "Oh, that's all right. They trying to get him out of there." And so you're like, "Yeah, that's all right." And you're like, "Yeah, yeah. I remember you used to give me, well, you gave me the nickname Squirt." And they both share a laugh and yada yada. You're like, "Yeah, you remember why you gave me that name, Squirt?" And Marty's like, "No, I don't know how you, I don't remember." "Yeah, because you caught me masturbating, and you thought it was funny, and you laughed at me, because that was my only time I had of joy while I was here. Those few minutes that I had, and you took that from me." And so he told the man, "Okay, now you're gonna masturbate in front of all of us. Whip it out and masturbate in front of all of us." And the guy tries, and he's like, "Look, if you don't get it up, I'm gonna laser it. I'm gonna laser it off your body." And so the guy is trying. I mean, he is trying. He, he's trying his best. Couldn't do it. And sure enough, Homelander, being a man of his word, lasers his privates and makes it public for everybody. And so the woman that he was initially there for, I guess, who was over this program or whatever with him, she finally shows up, tells him to put Marty out of his misery, and he does, crushes his head with his boot, and they have a conversation and whatnot. And it was, she was real calm with him. It was like a matter of fact with him. But Homelander was there for a reason, and he did it. He didn't kill her, but what he did do is leave her in that room that they left him in as a child, with all the rest of the staff murdered, just destroyed. And we get that last visual of him in the elevator, drenched with blood and uh, brain matter and everything else on him. And that's basically the episode here. This was a very good episode of The Boys. Also, another storyline was Sister Sage and the Deep. And we left off in episode 3, where one night they got together and did the boom shoom, but while they were doing that, the camera zoomed in on this tool with blood on it, and it looked like a lobotomy thing. Looked like something that you were shoving in their brain, but they didn't make any big mention of it, and that was that. And so in this episode, we find out that she does this. She gives herself a lobotomy from time to time so she can feel normal like everybody else, because her brain grows back, constantly grows. And that's how she's so smart. And so she does that, and that's why when she's in that state, that's when she is attracted to the Deep. And so there's that going on as well. It's just a lot going on, but it's done so well. This show does ensemble characters so well. It is a joy to watch. Yes. Is it bloody? Yes. Is it gory? Sure. Is it vulgar? Absolutely. And I love it. I love it. But with all of that R-rated stuff, all of that X-rated stuff that's going on this show, there's a lot of social commentary going on. There's a lot of real world issues that they're touching on, and done respectfully, done in a way to really shine a light on this country, basically on America. And it is not pretty, but this is what it is. People who don't like it, They just don't like the reflection they see in the mirror. That's basically what it is. And I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. Can't wait for next week. This is one of the shows that gets me mad that it's week to week, but I like it as well. This week to week format, it grows anticipation to whereas you can't wait for the next episode. Being spoiled with the binge watching is one thing. Some shows need to be binged. This one here, not so much, but I still want to see. I want episode 5 right now. I'm loving this season of The Boys so far. But I would love to know, what are your thoughts of The Boys season 4, episode 4, Wisdom for the Ages? Did you like it? Did you love it? Have you not checked it out yet? If you haven't and you listen to this whole episode, hey, spoilers. But yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the KB Radio Network channel, that is. And like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of The Boys, episode 4 of season 4. Can't wait to speak to you next week for episode 5. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.